Welcome to this basic smoke grenade guide for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. This video will be covering the following topics: fundamentals and basics, strategy and tactics, team play, and lineups. Each topic has its own timestamp in the description, so feel free to skip around the video as you like. It is a basic guide, so many of you will already know some of the things mentioned in the video, but repetition is always good and you may learn something or catch a new perspective, so hang in there. This topic will be covering the basic knowledge necessary to know before stepping further into the other topics. The smoke grenade costs $300 for both the terrorist and the counter-terrorist. The $300 makes it accessible already from the first round of a competitive match, and it's pretty normal to buy at least one smoke for the first round strategy, especially on the T side. The smoke grenade leaves a thick cloud that is almost impossible to see through. The smoke grenade has the ability to prevent vision, such as being detected on the radar, which is very powerful when setting up various strategies. The thick cloud lasts for 15 seconds, but the full effects last for 18 seconds. This is because it takes 3 seconds for the smoke grenade to totally disappear when it starts to fade away. It is very important to be aware of the smoke duration in relation to the strategy and tactics, but more on this in a moment. Unlike Molotovs, HE grenades and flashbangs, smoke grenades do not release before they have finished moving, no matter how long they are in the air. This gives the players an opportunity to throw smoke grenades across long distances on the maps, but the smoke grenade will release instantly when it makes contact with flames from the Molotov. On most of the maps there is a skybox limit, which means that the smoke will bounce back if it flies high enough and hit the skybox, unlike the map Mirage where the skybox has been removed. This takes smoke grenades to new limits because it opens up way more lineups and the ability to throw them over longer distances. It also gives smoke grenades the opportunity for longer airtime, which gives players more room for moving around the map while the smoke is in the air. I will give a good example of this later in the video. This topic will be covering a basic understanding of the strategic aspect of using smoke grenades. The smoke grenade is one of, if not the most impactful grenade in the game, as it gives some huge strategic advantages and is key when carrying out different tactics. If we talk about the basic tactic use of smoke grenades, they are most often used by the terrorist to attack one of the two bomb sites to get in and plant the bomb. For example, if you want to take A site on Dust 2, it's very effective to smoke off CT spawn, as often 3 players are coming from that way. The T players then have a straightforward way up to the bomb site, only leaving the car left to clear. The bomb site can easily be mollied or naded off to force any CT players further back into the site. On the other hand, the counter-terrorist uses the smoke grenades as a defense play to prevent the terrorist from coming into a site and plant the bomb. The CT players often smoke off tight corridors or entrances to the bomb site, forcing the terrorist to wait for the smoke to fade. If the terrorists manage to take one of the bomb sites and plant the bomb, the roles are switching over and the CTs are now in a position where they have to make an offensive play to try retaking the bomb site and defuse the bomb. The terrorists can now use the remaining smokes as a defense play to hold back the CTs from retaking the site. So a great tip when playing terrorist is to save some smokes for later in the round when the bomb has been planted. Another aspect where smoke grenades are used and are very effective is to create cover when going through crucial pathways on the map. This could for example be on Dust 2, where you smoke off catwalk to prevent CT players from seeing you while you go towards A short. So, to summarize the basic strategy and tactic understanding, the smoke grenades are used to attack and defend bomb sites, but also to gain map control and come through central areas of the map. Smoke grenades can also be used in other ways. One of them is to confuse the enemy to think that you are attacking one bomb site, but actually you are attacking the other bomb site. This is called faking, and can be very powerful as players have the tendency to rotate to the opposite bomb site, leaving the attacking bomb site open. An old but legendary example was when Carrigan, former in-game leader of Astralis and FaZe Clan, was using this B-side smoke thrown all the way from T-spawn to confuse the CT players and make them believe that he would attack B-side. While the smoke moves in the air, Carrigan sneaks up silently into Palace and the CT players start to rotate towards the B-side. Suddenly, Carrigan speeds up and is able to take the first player off guard. He tricks the other player into thinking that he's planting the bomb and takes him down from the stairs. Another thing you could do is to hide in the smoke or walk through it, but be very cautious of walking through smoke as the enemy players will see you long before you see them. If you decide to do so, at least have a clue of the enemy position. If you know the enemy position, it can be very powerful as the enemy might not expect you to push through and look at another angle. This topic will cover the basic understanding of the importance and effectiveness of team play when using the smoke grenades. To be a good team player, it's important to know some basic smoke lineups and have the ability to communicate and coordinate with your teammates about when and where you throw the smoke. Without team play, smoke grenades will in most cases be useless. It's often necessary to use more than one smoke to take control over specific areas of the map or secure a well-coordinated bomb site attack. Smoking A side on Mirage is a good example of the necessity of team play, as one smoke is not enough to block off the basic positions that the CTs are holding to defend the bomb site. In this example, you see how Team Liquid use 3 of the 5 smokes to block off CT, jungle and stairs. If you smoke off these 3 positions, you have a much higher chance of success in your bomb site attack. If you have one or more players to team up with, it will naturally be more fun to practice smoke and use them to unfold simple and advanced strategies when playing competitive matches. This topic gives you the basic information of smoke lineups and some tips on how to remember the lineups. Smoke lineups are the point or area in which you have to aim and what throw you have to make to secure that the smoke lands where you intended. There are too many options and combinations of how you can throw a smoke and how far a distance it would fly to list them all here. It's simply too much information to remember. But the most basic throw is the left click throw, usually used when standing still or in combination when moving or jumping. So how many lineups should you know? There are hundreds of lineups across all the maps and it's impossible to know every one of them. So to start with, I recommend focusing on the basic smokes on the map you play the most. You can find tons of videos on YouTube that show you the specific lineups for each smoke on all maps. So before a match, go into a server that is set up for smoke training and use some time to memorize the lineups you want to use. By doing this, you will quickly remember the lineup and don't have to practice the same lineups before a match every time you want to play. But it can still be beneficial sometimes to practice all the smokes you know to ensure that you still use the correct lineup. If you play in a team, you have the advantage to delegate different smokes to each player so the individual player doesn't have to remember too many lineups. That was the basic smoke grenade guide for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I really hope you could use the information given in the video, and I'm ready to answer any question you might have, so leave a comment and I will answer you as soon as possible. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button as there will be much more useful videos in the future.